Pennsylvania. This is a 2-week medieval fair gathering event that happens every year, and it's my big 2 weeks of 15th century glamping, which means we must set everything up. And so today I'm going to be walking you through our process of putting together our furnishings and decorating our pavilion to make it its best 15th century glamping self. So if you have any questions, pop them in the live chat and we will periodically check, although we're going to be working. So you might want to wait until we actually ask for questions if you have a specific question. But otherwise, we're going to be first starting off by setting up a rope bed. So the thing you have to understand about medieval furnishings is that medieval Europeans, especially in France and England, Germany, were very mobile, in Christian parts of Spain. They were mobile communities. Nobility moved around a lot from castle to castle, from estate to estate. And therefore, they actually had furniture that could break down and be packed and then be reassembled at its next home, which means that they would very often leave their one estate more or less empty of furnishings in order to fill the next estate. But as the Middle Ages wear on, that practice dies down and the aristocracy starts settling more or less in one place and actually building more permanent furnishings that fill each of their estates. So that's why later medieval and say early modern furniture stops being the kind that you can actually break down. But what we have here is absolutely full-on medieval breakdownable furniture. So the first thing we're going to make is our rope bed. And rope beds are wonderful because you literally just have a pile of wood and you have some ropes. So if you're concerned about transportation, about space to move something like a bed, then a rope bed is a great thing. And I actually have slept on a rope bed permanently as my main bed. I did that for about 3 years until we got a nice canopy bed to replace it. So it can be very, very comfortable. And that is actually the origin of the expression to sleep tight, because you do sometimes need to tighten your ropes because they're made of natural fibers, and humidity and temperature will actually cause them to tighten or to loosen. Yeah. Okay, excellent. Well, first thing we need to do is actually set up the frame. But before we do that, are there any questions before we dive right in?
So say hello to Sarah.
Sarah, lovely to see you. Sara Ira.
Sarah Ira.
Yeah. Sara Ira, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Susan Haas, good to see you again. I know it's been a while, but I've been sewing like crazy.
Eric had a question.
Yes.
What year were Ironis made? The one with the wood chips inside? I remember a kerchief.
Were what made?
Irones? Irons?
Irones?
The one with the wood chips inside.
I'm afraid. So Eric, in what year were Irones made? Irones? I'm actually not certain what that word is. So if you could clarify, that might be a spelling error perhaps.
And It's Gorani says, accidentally stumbling on a live stream. We'll probably podcast it on the live replay tomorrow. I hope you have nice weather.
Thank you. Yeah, and we're going to be live streaming almost every day. So, we're going to be live streaming camp life. We're going to be live streaming setup. We're going to be doing some medieval sewing parties, medieval story time, and I'm going to be live streaming a lot of my medieval dance classes. So I haven't gotten all of them scheduled yet. I'm going to be scheduling more. There's just so much to get onto the live stream schedule. So keep your eye on that.
Says, the tent is already set up. I hope it not get moldy during storage.
Yeah, so thank you for that question. Comment is, I see the tent is already all set up. I hope it didn't get moldy during storage. So this is one of 3 pavilions we'll be setting up just like this. So tomorrow we're going to be setting up another hub and spoke pavilion, and we will live stream that so we can demonstrate the process, give you tips on how to do it yourself, and hopefully also find out that pavilion is not moldy. So no, this pavilion did very well in storage because it was put away in such a way that it was, even if it was damp, it wasn't so tightly rolled that it molded. However, the ground cloth that goes with this is currently getting UV treatment because my beloved condottiero, being a military man, when he rolled it up last year, he ranger rolled it, which meant that no air could possibly enter this particular bundle of tightly bound fabric. And so when we rolled it out this year, it was covered in mold. And so it is now getting extreme UV treatment behind us in the sunny dale that is the front part of our encampment. And so that should take care of the mold. And then we also have ground cloths that we're going to put on top of it, because that ground cloth is waterproof. Water cannot get through it. And I've not been able to find a similar one to that. So, yeah.
Rope beds are everywhere in Pakistan.
Oh, interesting. So Haas, people are still using rope beds in Pakistan. That is really awesome. I love rope beds. They're fantastic. Modern mattresses tend to be filled with a lot of really harmful chemicals, actually, that off gas, and that might be responsible for increased rates of cancer and autoimmune. So yeah,
I'll just let you read the whole
yeah.
thing. See who's
Okay.
calling you.
What cloth of gold were cloth of gold tents common amongst traveling medieval royalty? I know Henry VIII famously had it in the field of the cloth of gold in the 16th century.
Mother-in-law, Delaware?
So don't worry about that. So right. So that is a good question. Cloth of gold tents. Cloth of gold tents were not common. Cloth of gold was insanely expensive even amongst the aristocracy. However, we do know that certain royalty had them. So Charlotte of Savoy, Charlotte of Savoy, the Queen of France who died in 1483, she had a red silk damask cloth of gold pavilion in her death inventory. She had such a pavilion. So she had one though, not lots of them. So I suspect that amongst royalty, they might have had one. But an entire field of them, no, which is why Henry VIII's accomplishment in the 16th century, the field of the cloth of gold, was so impressive because it wasn't common. However, we do have inventories from the 15th century in which the royalty had one. One, not numerous ones. Yes, would I very much like a cloth of gold pavilion? Abso-freaking-lutely. Can I afford one? Abso-not. That's a great question. Oh, appreciate that. Okay, let's get down to making our bed. All right, so we have here these pieces. So you've got 4 side rails basically. You have your long rails, right? And this is what we do. The first thing I do is basically set up the square. So or it's not a square, it's a rectangle. Set up your rectangle so that you can see where your pieces go. And you have ends, right?
The other way.
Yep. So you can see that these were built, let me show. You can see that these were built in such a way so that you have a slot on one side in which the side rails will rest. Right. Now the thing about wood is that it is a natural material and it also responds to humidity and heat and all of that. So sometimes you might find that things have swelled and then you might have to use a rubber mallet to hammer it on. Never use a metal mallet to hammer it on. You'll regret your life choices. And this one also has a headrail so that your pillows don't fall off. Okay. Okay, right? So, for the lazy amongst you, you could hypothetically at this point use ratchet straps to hold it together or rope to hold it together and just put slats on top. But we're actually going to use a netting that we're going to basically weave ourselves out of rope. And this is hemp rope, which would have been an appropriate, authentic medieval choice.
I can never remember which one's the long rope and which one.
Yeah, we at some point we'll have to label it. But really, honestly, in both it ends up using more or less the same amount of rope, so it's not really a big deal. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to actually lace the ropes in one direction and then tighten them and then lace the ropes in over top of that in the other direction and tighten it. So you can absolutely do this alone. I do this alone all the time.
You want the gloves for your delicate hands?
Yeah, so that is, oh, we need more space in this. This is a major disadvantage of hemp. It's rough. And my hands are not as weathered as they once were. Back when I was working in horse stables regularly every day, my hands were not very calloused, but they could take a good amount of rough housing.
Shouldn't be coming this way.
I was going to tie it. Yeah.
No, you don't want to tie that in because then we have to shove that through.
Yes. Okay. So he grabs an end.
You get it through the hole.
That's a common problem. Okay, now he passes it on to me, and then I keep going. We needed more space on this side, handsome.
We can move.
Yeah, let's move the bed.
Yep.
Wait, stop. Stop. Yes. Yes. Okay. Pull your side. No, not that. The other. The other. Yeah. Okay, now you can start pulling. Yeah, there we go. Okay, great. Stop. Here. Okay. So I have done this by myself. It's doable, but it goes much faster if you have a second person.
This one's easier to do. The next one will be more complicated.
Now, some people have asked, can you leave the ropes in? I have never successfully done so in such a way that it doesn't end up a tangled mess.
Did you already tie the other?
It's got a knot in it.
Oh, that's right. We did the knot.
We did the knot. Yep. There's a knot, maybe. Oh, nope. It's user error.
Yeah, I'm getting in the way of the camera now, aren't I?
You are. I mean, I know they like your derriere because it's a shapely derriere, but yeah.
We put the wrong one.
We did. We did. It's okay. Okay.
Well, there's a lesson.
We really should mark these at some point.
We should.
So this is how it goes when you don't, so we only set this bed up exactly once a year. And actually every year before this, I've always picked the right rope accidentally. So we're now going to do the clever thing and actually put a colored piece of tape on the rope so that it denotes which is the short one or which is the long ways one and which is the short ways one. So it's been actually very nice weather here. So we've been very fortunate. It was supposed to rain this morning. It did not. And that's probably because we prepared for there to be rain, because we arrived yesterday and by the time we got all of the things unloaded out of storage, it was very late and we just did not feel like continuing to set up. So we just put all of our boxes into the pavilion and covered anything that didn't fit in the pavilion with a tarp. And lo, we awoke this morning and there was no more chance of rain. How typical is that? And as we all know, Murphy's Law, it's only because we prepared. If we had not prepared, it would have poured buckets. So yes, setting up a medieval encampment is absolutely a workout and a total body one. So you should make sure to engage your core and bend your knees. Don't round your back. Squat.
So now we just have to remember the thread.
Let's see, Twitchy says, I really want to get a rope bed for reenactment at some point, a single bed, of course, but it would be wonderful. They are, don't say not raining because it will jinx it forever. Yeah, that's probably true. Twitchy, lovely to see you. Her horse stable past makes sense. It does. It 100% does.
If I start at the foot with this, actually, then they can watch us.
Yeah. So you might want to uncoil the rope.
I can coil the rope. Just keep doing this.
So yeah, rope beds are fantastic because they breathe, they're adjustable. Then they're made out of all natural fibers instead of the strange synthetics out of which modern mattresses are made. We will be setting up a multi-tier system. We will be doing the...
Tell them why we're doing this side first.
Why are we doing this side first?
Because it locks it in.
Oh, right. Oh, wait. Okay. Why we're doing, you meant not the end from which we're starting, right? So you see we're doing the long beams first. That's because it locks the bed together, right? Because the long beams are the ones on the outside holding it together. So when you do the ropes on the long beams first, then it holds it together and it's just easier. If you were to do it the other way, you'd regret your life choices because it would keep falling apart.
Yeah, it's annoying. Not that I've ever done that.
Not that you've ever done that. I haven't actually.
You remember I made that one rope bed?
Oh God, that one rope bed. Wow, that looked like that rope bed was sad. He's the one, so we did not, a friend of mine made this rope bed for us, for me specifically actually. My Lord Condottiero there once made a rope bed and it was sad. It did not have right angles.
No, everything was bad for it.
It was.
The wood I used, I went cheap and it was too thin.
Yeah, he used wood that was too thin and it was.
Having the 2x, what is this, 2x8?
Yeah.
It is pretty essential, I think, to making a nice solid bed. Ow.
One thing about rope beds, this one anyway, is that it is creaky. The wood is creaky, and it makes noise. So it is what it is.
No secret sleeping.
There is no. You can't even turn secretly. I'm not even referring to more athletic activities in which one might engage in such a bed. Just the act of turning, people will know you're doing it.
You want to go look at the front?
Yeah. Are you using our pavilion rope?
I think so.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
One of the rope that we.
This is too short too.
Yeah, it is. That's why I'm thinking you're not using our bed ropes.
Where's more ropes? Or are these the ropes for my?
I think.
Bed?
No, I think these are the rope. I think these might be. Did you use our? Did we use our high wire lines for? No, those aren't the high wire lines. This one should definitely not be coming out short.
Oh, I swear these are.
Have we not actually unearthed our bed ropes?
Maybe not. Okay, what's in that box?
In what box? This box? More bedding. Oof. Oh yeah, so this was the first time we stored our things in this storage unit, our soft things, and it is all mildewy, so we're going to have to come up with a solution for that next year. Right now I'm just going to, because this one is a nice wool. This is actually a wool mattress basically. It's a wool duvet, but we use it as a wool mattress. I'm pretty certain the wool isn't mildewy. I'm pretty certain it's the cotton cover that probably is. So it turns out that we didn't actually have our bed ropes. So this is the first year we've had all of these things together in one spot. Last year, everything kind of came piecemeal. And we have, let me see if I can show you the pile of boxes and whatnot. This is not that kind. Yeah, so we've got boxes and boxes and boxes. That's our neighbor's pavilion. Nice, isn't it? Right. By the way, if you're enjoying this setting up of a medieval encampment, don't forget to hit that thumbs up, everybody. So, and this isn't even all of our boxes. We've got a pile of boxes on the other side of the pavilion there. So we're now going to have to come up with solutions for next year for actually keeping the storage space dry, because it's a corrugated metal garage. It has no insulation. The door doesn't even necessarily fully shut in any kind of sealed manner. So we're going to have to devise a solution for keeping the moisture even, because this is Western Pennsylvania. Humidity varies from high to non-existent almost. And the temperatures fluctuate from extreme summer heat to extreme cold in the winter. So yeah, I've got some ideas. We'll see if those actually end up working to keep things fresher for next year. It is the downside of having a large kit and not wanting to transport it back and forth over 7 hours of highway driving when you can just kind of keep it local. Also because we would need, now the amount of medieval furnishings that we had, we would need a medieval baggage train basically. And unlike an actual countess from the 15th century, I can't afford such a thing. Oh yeah, I think those are them. God knows. Oh, probably for, so apparently, apparently when someone packed up our things last year, and I don't think I did this because that doesn't,
I didn't do this.
I think it might have been Tedra trying to protect our medieval pots.
Oh, this is difficult.
So apparently our bed ropes last year, one of my very wonderful damsels very cleverly used the bed ropes as padding to protect our medieval clay pots from being, yep, that's it. It's got the right ends. Here, let me show them the medieval cooking pot while you fix up the ropes. So this is where our bed ropes were. I'm wondering what the other ropes were. Now we have random ropes. I don't know what the random ropes are. So,
these were from my bed,
oh, they were from the crappy bed.
These are
from the crappy bed. Okay. So this is a replica medieval cooking pot. Isn't that lovely? Little tripod guy. And I know it looks relatively small, but you'd be shocked at the amount of material in that you can fit in this cute little pot. And the thing about clay pots is that these were viewed in many ways as a disposable item. Pottery is the plastic of the Middle Ages. And so it was understood that this was not going to last forever, that being subject to heating and cooling, of cooking in the fire, pulling it out of the fire, etc., would eventually cause it to break. And that was fine. That's why we end up with shards upon shards upon shards of medieval cooking pots in middens from, the trash piles, the trash dumps basically from the Middle Ages. We haven't yet used this one. I'm hoping we're going to get to use this year to make medieval starch using a medieval recipe from the 15th century in which we take wheat bran, you boil it in a pot of water, and then you let it sit for at least 3 days until it sours. And then you filter out the bran, and the water is actually a starch solution. And according to the recipe, you can then starch your garments in that. So we're hoping to experiment with that with some of our own linens that are here, making our own starch, then soaking our garments in it, and then following the instructions to smooth them out with a slaky stone, as it says in the original. And no, I did. I brought the slaky stone.
Oh, you brought this?
I brought the slaky stone. And then seeing what kind of starch that creates, because these days you can just buy starch in the powdered form, diluted in water, and there you go. So I'm interested to see what the difference is between that experience and actually making your own starch from bran, how that actually ends up working out. So I'm hoping this pot will finally get a use this year. It's also a little mildewy. Oh my goodness. Let me see. Fix the camera, please. Orion's a little off. Yeah, starching. So we definitely want to starch the veils, want to starch the kerchiefs. There's a lot of things that are desirous of starching. So, medieval starching isn't just about the look. And this is, I think, something that people forget. Starching when it comes to medieval clothing is almost as much about protecting the clothing. One, starch will actually prevent your white linens from getting dirty. It will help keep them whiter longer, especially around the cuffs and collars, the areas that really rub against your horrible, disgusting human skin. All of us have horrible, disgusting human skin. By the way, that's not a value judgment. And it will also protect it. It'll make it stronger. So it will actually wear more strongly. It will wear down less over time if you keep your garments starched. And I think a lot of modern people, especially because in the 19th century they got a little crazy with starching, modern people imagine starching means a stiff, uncomfortable garment. But that's not what medieval starching was about. You didn't have a garment that was so stiff that would hang away from your body like a board. not that level of starching. So yeah, so hopefully we'll get to do that. And if we do that, I promise I will live stream that in, or I will video the process, one or the other.
Tell them about my surprise for you.
Which of the surprises?
At the storage center.
Oh, at the storage center. Oh, yeah. Let me see. Twitchy says, nuns wore so many veils that they must have starched them frequently to maintain them. Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, Twitchy, it's funny you say that. This starch recipe is from a manuscript that was written by monks, for monks. So that was, by monks, for monks. So it was actually the men who were talking about the importance of starching their garments. So no doubt, and of course, very often, as you know, monastic communities there was a cloister, a convent side and the monk side. And so very often they lived in relatively, close proximity in the same compound, as it were, just different sections. So it wouldn't surprise me if it was the person doing the starching was actually starching both men's garments and women's garments, monks and nuns. Yep. Okay, let's take 2 of stringing up the rope bed. Okay, great. Here, this feels better, or not better. I remember I hate this rope. This is a thinner, rougher hemp rope, and this is all the more reason to absolutely use gloves. Again, remember to really bend your knees, engage that core. So one of the other perks of having a rope bed like this in your medieval setup, oh hell, you didn't tie this. This does not have a knot, it needs to be tied. Another perk of having one of these beds in your setup is that, as you can see, it's off of the ground and our chests fit under it. So you can actually store things comfortably under the bed. And especially for those of you who maybe your medieval kit is not entirely medieval, maybe you have some modern items that need to be hidden that you also might need to access in the course of your 2 weeks of 15th century glamping, having that underbed hideable storage is really handy. There aren't many reenactments that actually go for 2 weeks. So you learn that there are things that maybe you can't do without when you're living this way for 2 weeks, especially for people who might have modern medical issues. I'm thinking people who must sleep with a CPAP, for instance.
I think these ropes don't need to be marked because they're both long enough.
Yeah, these ones are both long enough, yeah.
What I get for getting the cheaper rope, the more expensive rope, I tried to make it exact.
Yeah, instead of giving it enough. I think you also had fewer holes on that bed. Also,
I made so many mistakes on my
that bed was tragic. Yeah. I don't know what did we end up doing with the wood? I forget.
Sitting in the house.
Oh, it's still there? Oh wow.
Thinking about giving it to somebody.
Somebody you don't like?
Their kids. Because I don't like kids.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Okay. So we actually brought almost all of our tapestries with us.
Almost. I left 2 boxes of tapestries.
You left 2 boxes. We brought 3 boxes of tapestries with us.
And 3 rolled up tapestries, I think.
Real tapestries, not fake tapestries. So we're going to have to make some decisions about which tapestries to hang in the pavilion. We're going to be setting up a communal pavilion for our household, so that will be getting some tapestries. So there's going to be a tapestry love fest. Okay, so now we get to the tighten.
Bottom, not the top.
It's fine, it doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and tighten it. Okay, so now we get to the tightening. Can you check the angle? See if we're in it still. I meant the camera, yeah. So,
we're all good.
Okay, so now we're going to get to the tightening. The tightening is the phase at which it becomes a really total body experience because we're actually going to get on the ground and use our feet. Okay, questions?
Searching my bells will be right. Oh, yeah, Ryan was off the screen for a moment. It tells you need to color code your rope and stuff. Yes. Was this before the church was restored? For the starching, I believe in that.
This was, we're talking 15th century. 15th century.
Eric says he got mad at some jeans one time and board starched them. I pulled them straight out in front of me. I starched them with sugar.
Wow. Yeah, sugar will certainly starch, but it's highly hydrophilic, so it won't last very long.
Twitchy says that would also likely be for church linens and altar cloths, as it would be the only fabric for liturgical.
Yeah, good point, Twitchy. Starching for all of those altar cloths and whatnot. Yep, very important.
Biohacking with Jen. Class is asking what the food and bathroom situation is. There are bathrooms on site.
Yeah. Okay, so you're not mic'd. Okay, so Penzic has a variety. This is a massive campground, and they have many events here a year, not just us. So it's not catering to a medieval audience specifically, but we've got on every single block, and the blocks are relatively small, there are 4 privies, 4 porta-johns that are serviced twice a day. There are, I think, 4 banks of flushing toilets kind of in the center of the site. And there are bathhouses, a couple of bathhouses with showers and hot water. Well, hot water for about an hour and then cold water after that. And but otherwise, a lot of camps, a lot of households will set up their own showers and their own bathing facilities. But yeah, in terms of facilities for the elimination of waste matter, there's plenty of them. But basically, you're supposed to dig your own sump here. So like we'll have a hole that is for disposing of wastewater. And then at the end of the event, you fill it back in with the dirt that you used, that you removed from the hole.
But yeah, no dug latrines. You're right, correct.
No dug latrines. No, that is a hard no.
People have hardcore kitchen setups here.
Yeah, so people here, there's some people who don't really do the medieval things so much. They wear medieval clothes, but their camp life isn't medieval. So there are people who have completely modern setups. I mean, with stoves and refrigerators, because some of the camps have power. There are people who have entirely medieval kitchen setups. They actually build ovens. In fact, I'm going to try to find the oven builders and see if they'll let me interview them or live stream the oven building process for you. There are people who actually build hearths and cook only using medieval equipment. We have not done that yet at this event. I have done that in the past, but at this event, I focus more on courtly behavior, dancing, and being merry than cooking over a hearth. Because if you do medieval cooking for real, then that's what you do for the event. There isn't much else you're going to get to do, because the time it takes to prep food, the time it takes to maintain a fire, like that all really just takes the whole day in essence. And there's so much else going on at this event that I'd rather do than just doing a fire all day.
Come and tie this.
Oh, I was going to hold it for you and you could tie
I've got this hold.
Okay.
And this is not as tight as it will be.
Yep. So we do this initial tightening and then we tie it off with just a half knot because we're going to come back to it.
Okay, that's a high wind wire.
Yeah.
So this one must be...
Yeah, the scratchy. So this is how I have to remember this, right? Because I only do this once a year with this particular setup. The really scratchy, awful ropes are the bed ropes. And that's okay. Don't fear not. We're going to have a straw mattress. There's going to be wool mattresses, and then on top of that will be a feather mattress. So our bodies will not. We have sheepskins. We've got deer hides.
We don't have the.
We didn't bring. Oh, right. So something happened. We have a house in Mississippi where we have a bunch of stuff stored also, and apparently we got wool moths. Alas, happily the wool moths settled only on our lambskins, and seems to be anyway. And so we put them out in the yard and they were infested, and the birds descended and ate the moths and the grubs. Isn't that awesome? Unfortunately, we didn't get video of that. That would have been pretty neat.
If I had realized what was that. Oh, do you want to explain this?
Yeah, so okay, we're now counterweaving. So now we're going to be going over, under with the rope and then alternating row by row. And so basically we're creating an interlocking grid here. There are not many depictions of the rope beds themselves from the Middle Ages, but there are a few, because usually beds are depicted completely made up, right? So you don't see the actual, the frame itself, you just see the beautiful, beautiful bedding with the embroidered cover panes, counter panes, and that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely should not be using this to do that. So naughty.
Oh gosh, yeah. Well, it was a nice idea, I guess. But what we do know about bedding, how we know about the bedding itself, is from inventories and expense accounts. Because inventories and expense accounts detail things like all the mattresses, all of the blankets, all of the sheets, the pillows, the decorative elements, bed hangings. So we know what kind of things people were using to make the bed. And that's actually where the expression "to make the bed" originates, because in the Middle Ages, putting the bed back together after you sleep wasn't just a question of tossing the blankets on. You actually had to make certain that you aired everything out. So in the Book of Nurture, John Russell's Book of Nurture, which is a guide to being the best servant of a great duke that you can possibly be. Servants in this case are not the people scrubbing the floors, by the way. To be the best servant of the duke that you can possibly be, he says that you need to, in the morning after you've dressed your sovereign, of course, after you've dressed him and he's out of the room, you then basically pick apart the bed by layers. You take off all the cover panes, the blankets, the sheets, you hang them out to air. You take the mattresses off the bed and you hang those out the window to air as well, so that everything stays fresh, so that there's no mildew, there's no mold, insects are taken care of, right? This was part of the hygiene, medieval hygiene, in fact, was unmaking your bed, letting everything air out, and then remaking it. And according to John Russell, this should be done every day. Now, probably you're going to ask me, is there any way that that was what everyone was doing every day? Probably not. Maybe not, especially not on the lower levels of society where they didn't have servants to do it for them, right? But they would probably do it once a week at least. There would actually be a bed making day, basically, where you would actually take everything out, air it, and then put it back together. Obviously, if you're on the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum, you're not going to have as many layers to your mattresses either. You probably have a straw mattress, sheets, and some kind of wool blanket. But even then, you would want to air it out, and they would do that, right? They would probably replace the straw with some regularity as well. Straw was not necessarily a very expensive material. And there was also a very important part of making the bed and cleaning the room was actually filling it, strewing it with sweet smelling. Oh, you didn't tie the end.
No.
Was actually strewing it with sweet smelling herbs, right? And sweet smelling herbs, we're talking lavender, sage, hyssop, rue, things that are actually, in fact, that are bug repellents, that are insect repellents now, that we know are. In the Middle Ages, it was not necessarily to repel bugs, although they understood that happened as well. For them, it was more about driving away the miasma. Miasma was thought to be the carrier of disease. And so they thought that by filling a space with sweet smells, that they would have a healthier, longer life. And the interesting thing about the theory of miasma is that they were entirely wrong, right? Clearly, we know now that there are many pathogens that are airborne, and that if you protect your respiratory tract with a mask, then you will prevent yourself from getting sick. Obviously, that's not quite the same as using sweet smells to not get sick, but it still shows that there was an understanding of infectious disease. It's just that the basis of the science wasn't quite correct. And we do know now, insects are path carriers of they're vectors for pathogens as well. So by driving away the insects, they probably were in fact increasing their chances of surviving life, preventing infectious disease. Remember, bend your knees, engage your core, keep your back flat. Bend your knees. Now, the nice thing about this rope bed, once you've woven it up, if you don't go anywhere, you don't have to do it again. You just have to tighten it occasionally. So what I like to do technique-wise, especially when we have two people, is get the ropes pulled part of the way through and then pass it on, and then I stay behind and pull the rope the rest of the way through.
Enunciation.
Enunciation. Okay, moment break for questions. Monica, welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions about medieval glamping, medieval camp life in the Middle Ages, please do let me know. Lately, I have been going down the Odyssey rabbit hole because of Christopher Nolan's newly released movie, The Odyssey, which has, of course, engendered much controversy on a variety of metrics. One of them being the authenticity of the production and also the design choices in the production. I just recently published a post with this like a mini essay about my thoughts on the anachronisms in the picture. And so I've just been doing research to make sure I was correctly informed about that. And it's very interesting. You can appreciate anachronisms have a function, I feel like, in dramatic productions. There is a place for them. It's how the anachronisms are carried out and the design choices, I think, is where things might break down. Personally, I think the Batman armor in this rendition of the Odyssey is comical and is so distracting as to prevent me from appreciating whatever it is that's happening in any given scene in which that armor is depicted. So, but the reality is that Homer was not an expert on Bronze Age culture, and what he ended up compiling, or whoever Homer was, Homer might not even been a real person or a single person. Either way, the person or persons who ultimately compiled these epics was clearly not an expert on Bronze Age culture, and so they ended up often incorporating aspects of the archaic period of the culture of archaic Greece into it. And so anachronisms in and of themselves aren't necessarily actually inauthentic to the original piece. However, graphic novel style armor and, Telemachus calling his parents mom and dad with exactly those words is just too distracting for me. Yeah.
Explain the tools.
Okay. Well, actually, first, wait, we don't use it yet.
Oh.
No. Okay, so this is actually probably not medieval. This is actually probably 18th century.
Oh.
This is actually a bed tightener. And so you actually, you attach the rope to this, and then you put a dowel through here, and then you can actually twist it, you take advantage of leverage, right, to actually tighten the ropes if you need to. We don't actually need to do that I've never had to use this thing on this bed. And the other thing you can do for easy, if you need to tighten your bed quickly before you go to bed and you don't feel like redoing the ropes, you can actually take a wedge like this, exactly, and you put it in the ropes, and then it will tighten them. But first, we're not going to do that yet, because we're actually going to do a proper tightening, which we do manually. Okay, so start here. And actually, I like to get on the ground and take advantage of my feet. And ultimately what you want to do is you want to cause these long boards to flex. Okay, give me a second. Hold on. Then I use my thumb to actually hold the rope in place once I've tightened it. Oh, yeah, we definitely did not give me room for this. Okay. Hold on. Oh, my hand. Wait, patience, grasshopper. And you can see all the rope that we're managing, the slack we're managing to take up with this method. And the reason you want the longboards to flex inward is because that basically acts like a spring to maintain tension. Okay.
Now, you can cheat and use.
Oh yeah, so if you're alone and you don't feel like doing this process, you can actually get modern ratchet straps. and take up the flex, but I don't think we're going to need that today.
Tie it at the bottom. It'll prevent that rope from coming up into your face.
Okay. Okay, now we do the same thing with the other rope.
It's rough.
Okay.
Full body workout.
It is a total body workout. I tell you, I lose weight at these events. And I lead an active lifestyle. So yeah. Whew.
I wonder if you wet the ropes, if you would get more stretch and a better tightening as they dry.
Probably.
But you might get mold.
Yeah, you probably would, but yeah, so the question was, if you weten the ropes, would you get more stretch when you're stringing it, and then it will dry and tighten? That is an option, but yeah, the danger might be that you might get mold or mildew in a climate that's warm like damp like this. However, if you did that in a desert place like New Mexico, probably be no problem. Okay, hold on.
Twitchy says she would 100% use the ratchet straps.
Straps, yeah. No, there's no shame in ratchet strapping. Okay, hold on. Okay. Hold on, don't pull it yet. I need the slack to get the slack. Okay. Wait, just wait. Okay.
Helps if you're a big strong man.
It also helps if you just use the leverage that I'm doing. You don't need raw strength, you need smart strength.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Sarah asks, how often do medieval women trim and cut their hair? Do they take the Amish route and just never cut their hair?
So women, I have no evidence that medieval women trimmed or cut their hair ever. They just, as far as I can tell, unless they were nuns, different conversation though. As far as I can tell, they just let it grow to whatever length it would grow to. Hair styling as such, doesn't, depending on where you are, doesn't really seem to be a thing until the 16th, really into the 15th centuries, where you start seeing hairstyles. Like we would understand them more. This is a queen size bed. Yep. Now we're gonna have to tighten it again.
This actually helps because it pulls everything in a little bit.
So medieval women, as far as I can tell, they did not trim their hair. There was no concept of cutting off the dead ends, as people call them now, even though all of your hair is dead. There seems to be no concept of that, and different hair just grows to different lengths. My hair, this is it. This is as long as it grows. This is my maximum length. I have the slowest growth rate combined with the shortest refresh rate. So I unfortunately can't grow longer than this.
No dogs here.
But in the 15th century, bangs come into fashion, at least a species of bags in the Italy specifically. So there they definitely start trimming their hair. And you can see this when there are women who are in mourning and they've got their hair down. You can see that they've this forelocks that come to only about here, and the rest of their hair is really long. And I've been thinking of actually trimming myself some forelocks like that, specifically to be able to wear with my 15th century Italian clothing. So I might do that this Penzic. We'll see. Oh, it's a good question. Okay, so who asks what?
Katya
Oh,
asks,
yes.
in your opinion, what items or small details make camping feel extra comfortable and luxurious during these 2 weeks?
Yeah, so good question. So what extra small details really take the luxury to the next level? Tapestries and rugs. Tapestries and rugs, wall hangings and rugs really make a massive difference in how luxurious an experience is. And the nice thing about that is that these days, unlike the Middle Ages, these days you can get tapestries and what we would call Persian rugs, but they don't necessarily just come from Persia. You can get them very inexpensively on secondhand marketplaces, on eBay. You can get them on, Facebook Marketplace. You can get them at your local thrift shops very often. So just completely diapering the interior space of your pavilion with even just basically colored cloth. That would probably be the most hacky of them, would be to just get lengths of nice colored cloth and just hang it inside your pavilion. That'll really take it to the next level. Color is what you want. If you want to be in the live stream, you're welcome. Yeah. So we bought these. These are actually springbok hides, which probably wouldn't have been available in medieval Europe. But I bought these in South Africa 3 hours before I was supposed to get on a plane.
Nice.
And the poor sales clerk, the poor shop clerk, lost her mind because she wanted to make sure I bought them, and she knew I wouldn't do that if she couldn't get me the customs paperwork. So,
right, so she was working
she was working. I've never seen anyone process customs paperwork so quickly in my life. It was amazing.
You bought a good number.
Yeah, I bought 14.
Nice.
They were like $5 each.
Oh, see, what a deal.
Well, because springbok, which is, for those who are wondering what a springbok is, it's kind of like a deer.
Yeah, it's a little deer.
Yeah, it's a little deer. It's a little deer, and they're so common there that they have to call the herd.
Almost like pests.
Yeah, they have to call the herd because they don't really have natural predators in most places anymore. So yeah, so they are available for very inexpensively. Yeah. Of course, maybe we should save these for something nicer, like putting on top of the mattress itself. No? Are they
how much?
Are they shedding?
They are, because the moths definitely did a little bit with them.
Wait, have you subjected these to anti-moth treatment?
Yeah.
I can smell it.
No. I mean, like UV light treatment. We don't have.
I mean, they were set out,
Okay.
and I put stuff on them.
Okay. Oh, you did put stuff on them. Yeah, like I said, we had a moth infestation. Very sad.
Oh no.
Very sad. Oh yeah, I can smell it now.
Yeah. That smell will go away soon, it says.
Okay.
Do you want to?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's what I'm telling him.
Wow.
We got a lot of like.
We might need to let this air out before we do any more on this bed, Handsome.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
You want to?
Yep. And especially if you have fewer layers of mattresses, putting down a layer of hides like this really, helps minimize the impact of the ropes through the layers. However, the kinds of mattressing we have, it's not a problem. In fact, we haven't used these hides in 12 years probably, because we didn't need them, because I haven't needed them here, because here I have my straw mattresses and feather mattresses and all of that. Whew. Oh, nice, Gorani. So a dog went into our camp, did we? No?
It's Haas being Haas.
Oh, it's Haas being Haas. Nice. Let's see. I have a question. Oh, no, that's it. Okay, great, Katya's. Yeah, so the next question, the follow-up to that is, what are must-have items for glamping? So really, for it to be glamping, you really do need carpets and wall hangings. Like, I don't know, I can't... Which we have in abundance.
Lights.
Yeah. Now, for it to be glamping, carpets and wall hangings are a must-have. Otherwise, you're just camping with a bed.
Okay. Well.
Okay, so now we need to let this air, because I didn't realize that our poor springbok
This over.
ended up having to get some anti-moth treatment. So medieval people were 100% aware of moths being an issue. They suffered the same indignities of wool moths as we do now, and one of the things they say to protect yourself against it is that once a week you should take everything out of storage, furs, garments. You should brush them, you should shake them, you should air them out, and you should put them in the sun.
We want to.
So they understood that as a reality of life. And so apparently that will work these days. If you actually go through your closets and your boxes of stored items and fabrics, you take them out, you shake them, and you brush them once a week, you will severely minimize the damage and or potential growth of wool moths. Of course, most people don't do that now. We store things for 6 months at a time in dark places that allow moths to breed to their fullest joy. Yeah. Okay, question.
I say we move forward. We put the ground.
Yes. Okay, so next, we're now going to show you the remediated ground cloth. This is not it. It's not in yet.
This is the ground.
So this is the ground. Now,
the ground.
now here's the thing. Could you just camp on this? Of course you could. But it's dusty right now. And this is 2 weeks of events in Western Pennsylvania, the United States, which means that it will rain at least once, possibly more than that. And there might even be days where you get daily thunderstorms, so it will rain once a day for several days. And so then things are going to get wet. Now, one of the things you do is we will trench actually around the outsides of the pavilion so that there's actually a trench. Did they do that in the Middle Ages? We don't know. But we do, because it is one way to prevent the water from coming into your pavilion. However, putting down a ground cloth keeps the dust down, and if it's a good ground cloth like our ground cloth, then it's actually waterproof, naturally waterproof, because it's heavy, heavy canvas, and the water will actually flow under it. And we did an event once. It was only a weekend event, but it rained biblically, Old Testament wrath of God rain, and the water was flowing. There was so much water flowing under this exact ground cloth that walking on it was like walking, and I'm not exaggerating, it was like walking on a waterbed. But because this is so watertight, not a single bit of water came up through it. So having a heavy-duty ground cloth like this is another key to having a luxury medieval camping experience and not a rough one. Now, this is just a heavy-duty painter's drop cloth. I think it's 10 ounces. It might be 12-ounce canvas. It is seriously heavy canvas.
This is hardcore canvas.
This is hardcore canvas. And this one is, what year is it? It's 2026. This is 20 years old. So this drop cloth has been subjected to the vicissitudes of 15th century living for 20 years. In fact, its very first event, its debut as a ground cloth was at an event where we were on the side of a hill, an ancient Celtic hill fort in Germany, near the grave of an amazing Celtic chieftain who died in like 4000 BC and was buried with the most amazing gold and grave items you can imagine. And the field in which we held the event, the weeks before the event, had been a sheep grazing meadow, and it was covered in sheep poo. And so this poor cloth went onto the sheep poo, went onto the ground with the sheep poo, and ended up completely bathed in sheep poo. Okay, wait, now put it down. There's a technique here. Okay, so this is what we do. So we had to set up the pavilion last night because we were here and we needed a place in which to sleep in case it rained, and we wanted the ground cloth to be subjected to UV treatment. So you might want to get someone else to help. Handsome. We might need someone else to help. Okay. Okay. Yes. That's why you need to bend your knees. Did we put is the front where the front is?
Yeah.
The flap? Okay. Okay.
I lined it up first. And figured we'd do a little bit of.
Yeah. So we've been subjecting this poor ground cloth to a very hard life from day one of use, actually. And so then it got, as we said, ranger rolled and put away, slightly damp and molded, and it's been sitting and sunning since yesterday. So now, this is going to be the ground cloth, and we've bought 2 more Painter's Drops Claws Emergency to put on top of it, and then on top of that will go our carpets. Okay, so I think we'll have to do one more lift, I think, Hanson. Let's double check to make sure we don't need to set up. Now this drop cloth, it didn't come as a dodecahedron. It came as a giant square, and then we cut it to be exactly the footprint of our pavilion. Yep, okay. Yep. You're standing on it. Okay. So we cut this to be exactly the footprint of the pavilion, which means that we actually use this to lay out the stakes for the pavilion before we set it up. So we lay out the ground cloth, we put the stakes in the corners, at the corners of the dodecahedron, stake the stakes, and then we put the pavilion down, hook the loops on the bottom of the pavilion to those stakes, and then we just pop it up like an umbrella.
You want to pull it that way just a little bit?
Which way?
Towards you.
Okay, hold on.
Ready?
Nope.
Ready?
Nope.
Ready?
Okay. Okay. And what we did was we actually marked, cleverly, we marked where the center is. So we know where the center pole has to go for it to actually be centered.
Yeah.
So it was cut in such a way that it goes over top of the mud flaps on the bottom of the pavilion. Now, I will tell you that the depictions of medieval pavilions that we have, they don't have mud flaps. Now, that could be artist fancy. Unfortunately, no European pavilions have survived. No medieval ones have survived. We have one from early 16th century Spain that has survived, and we have one from early 17th century Switzerland or Austria that has survived. Neither of those are medieval tents, and we don't know whether they were meant for actual camp life or if they were some kind of ceremonial thing and they weren't meant for actually, being on campaign. So whether mud flaps are an authentic part of a medieval pavilion or not, it's kind of debatable. However, for practical purposes, for your glamping experience to stay glampy, you want to have mud flaps on your pavilion. You really do. Okay, we are now putting down the other cotton canvas drop cloths that we bought specifically to cover the not so nice but very practical and still heavy duty drop cloth. Wait, this is not the new one. This is the old one, right?
No, this is the new one.
This is the new one? Okay.
It just looks old because it got dirty already.
Right, yeah.
Trying to figure out which.
Now, cotton, some of you might be thinking cotton. Some of you might be thinking cotton. That's not an authentic medieval fiber. It is. It very much is. I'm not certain where the rumor got started amongst the living history community or even the fashion history community that there was no cotton fabric in medieval Europe. What they didn't have was the modern calicos, like the really light weave cottons that we now have. That was not really available in medieval Europe. And if it was imported from India and the Middle East, and it was super duper expensive. So that was definitely not common. But they absolutely, in the Mediterranean, there was a thriving cotton industry. They imported bales of cotton and then they spun it and they wove it. Sometimes they would mix it with hemp or with linen. Sometimes it would be plain on its own. They had cotton canvas by the 14th century at least, maybe even earlier. So it's absolutely possible to have a cotton canvas pavilion and a cotton canvas ground cloth in it for it to be an authentic medieval application of fibers. Well, we have that, we have that third drop cloth. We have a third drop cloth I think we're going to go ahead and use, and then we'll be able to cover this whole space. Ideally, what we would do is cut these things.
Unfortunately, we're on a angle.
Yeah, so we're on a slope. It's out there sunning. Yeah. So medieval campaigns, campaign camps were very often in valleys. And so they were very generally in flat areas. Like they weren't usually on a hillside. So tents and pavilions like this weren't necessarily designed with the idea of being on a slope. We are, however, on a slope. I know it doesn't look like an extreme slope, but once you set up a pavilion, you can tell that it is. Now we do plan on actually straightening this out, forcing it to be a little more up vertical than it wants to be by actually using high wind lines to pull it out and stake it so that it stays a little more, the walls are a little more evenly distributed. But what you're seeing is the consequence of being on a slope. Yeah. Welcome to slope life. Okay, let's pull these this way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the mud flaps. Make certain that the ground cloth is. We still need to do it?
Spike it down.
Okay. So we're now putting down the 3 drop cloths that we bought. And this is an emergency measure. because of the situation with the ground cloth itself. Normally what I would, of course, prefer to have happen is for these ground cloths to all be cut to size so that it's a perfect dodecahedron, but I don't want to spend this event doing that, so we might take these back with us and sew them into that shape, and then they'll be ready for next year.
I'm not so worried about it. Perfect. We're going to throw the carpets on top.
So then I think, yeah, we'll lay that one across. And then on top of this will go our carpets. And our carpets are, I've bought most of them at a very good price on eBay and Etsy from secondhand carpet dealers. And they're almost all of them are hand woven. They're somewhat antique-ish, so they're not new, and they're made of wool. And you can tell that they're hand woven. And it just really takes it to the next level. The interesting thing about carpets, what were called turkey rugs in 17th century English, actually. They just called them straight up turkey rugs. Turkey rugs, in quotes, are in the 15th century are just as often used to drape over furniture like benches and tables in a decorative fashion as they were put on the ground. Isn't that interesting? But in a medieval camping space, in a glamping space, it seems that they might have actually been put on the ground. Whereas when they were in a great hall in their residence, then they became decorative elements for higher up than just on the ground. Interesting. Something I discovered relatively recently in my medieval material culture explorations. Okay, so now it's looking much less grim. Much less grim in here. And yeah, I know it looks a little bit like some kind of photo studio, I guess, actually. But now we're going to put the carpets in. But one of the things is that we generally try, if we don't have enough carpets to cover the whole space, and I don't think we do actually here, what we like to do then is to cover the space where the bed isn't, because not only do we have the bed, we have the silk hangings that will go over the bed. So that will just basically completely cover the bed area from almost the spokes down to the ground with the silk bed hangings. So there's no point in having a carpet under the bed if it's going to be covered anyway. So if you don't have enough carpets, then my trick is only put carpets down in the spaces that are actually visible. Like this is one, I really love this one. I love the patterns on it. And if you look at depictions of again, what 17th century English people called turkey rugs from the 15th century, then the thing about the patterns is they're geometric. It's not like the swirling floral patterns that are popular in Persian rugs, in those sorts of hand-woven rugs now. They're very geometric. So if you're looking for a medieval style carpet for your space, then be looking for geometric patterns like this. And they're very colorful. If you look especially in the Flemish paintings from the 15th century, especially the altarpieces, especially looking for the Virgin enthroned, those sorts of scenes, you will actually start looking around and you will see the carpets, and you will notice that they're bright and they're very geometric. Very geometric.
Do you have my phone?
No, not on my person. The device that we were using to monitor the live stream has meandered off. Maybe it fell on the ground?
I don't see it.
Okay, well, before we actually lay out the rugs, why don't we keep putting furniture together? Oh, here it is. We set it over here. Oh, yeah. Let me see. Verticality is for kitties, yeah. Girl, come straight in your tent. The tent's not going to fall. I promise the tent is not going to fall. It really isn't. It's fine. The tent is not going to fall. Okay. Oh, crap. We knocked down our sweet smelling stick. So this is, these are not medieval in and of themselves, but they contain medieval ingredients. These are bug sticks, we call them. They're basically compacted herbs that it's like an incense stick, but with compacted herbs, and you light it and then it emits smoke, and the smoke drives away insects. And so it's like the next level of the medieval herbal combination that medieval people would have used to drive away insects and to drive away the miasma. But this also drives away ticks and mosquitoes. And right on a practical modern level, everyone, ticks right now are becoming an increasing problem worldwide because everything is getting warmer. Climate change for the win. I'm just going to say it. It's going to trigger a whole bunch of trolls probably, but there it is. Climate change for the win. The winters are getting shorter and warmer. Ticks have a longer breeding and growing and existing phase. And so tick-borne diseases are becoming an increasing problem worldwide. And so having something like this that smells really nice, it's not unhealthy, it just drives away the insects like mosquitoes and ticks. So having something like this for your medieval glamping experience, especially when you're doing it for a protracted period of time, I think is a really important tip. Also, we're going to be sprinkling sweet herbs all around our pavilion that we actually brought from my damsel's mother's garden. And so we're going to be doing the medieval sweet smelling thing as well, with just sprinkling herbs everywhere. Okay, yeah. Okay, are these all the carpets we have here this year?
Plus the 1 entryway carpet.
I feel like we had another bigger one, but maybe it didn't make it.
Maybe we'll find it.
Maybe we'll find it. Yeah. Okay.
But we have one that I used to mark where the bed's gonna go.
Okay, so can they see these?
No idea.
These chandeliers up here, right? So these chandeliers are wooden chandeliers, and they are replicas of originals in the style of King Rene in his Book of the Tournament, which is originally from the early sort of first quarter of the 15th century, gets copied and re-illuminated throughout the course of the 15th century. In it are depicted these kinds of wooden chandeliers with candles from them. And so this is actually the way that we light this pavilion. Now, for safety's sake, we do not do it the way King Rene did it, because he has candles sticking up, right? But if you can see the distance from the spokes of my pavilion to the chandelier, if we were to use candles, that would be tapers, that would be dangerous. So we actually do use tea lights in here for safety's sake. Sometimes we do have to make accommodations for not burning down your camp.
Where do we store all of our stuff?
So where do we store all of the stuff? That's a valid question. Pennsic is at the campground, a campground called Cooper's Lake, and there are so many large, massive events like this here that aren't medieval like ours necessarily, but just big events, that there are storage facilities all around the campground where you can rent a storage unit. I think we're currently paying $1,200 a year for the storage unit, but it's multiple of us sharing the storage unit. So there are currently 4 people sharing the cost of that storage unit with 4 people's stuff. So it works out to be okay. It's cheaper than having to rent a van, for instance, to haul all of this stuff back and forth. It's certainly cheaper than the gas that you would pay, have to put into that van in order to haul all of this very heavy stuff back and forth. But many people have storage units here. Literally thousands of people have storage units here. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to put together some more of our furnishings now. Questions, comments?
Are you making a glamping site?
Yes, so for those just joining, welcome to Pennsic 53, a 2-week medievalist event fair hosted by the Society for Creative Anachronism. I'm the creative Contessa, and I have a 14th, 15th century household here, and we do 14th, 15th century style glamping. So yes, this is absolutely a glamping setup. And this exact same glamping setup we have used at modern camping functions as well, like when we go camping with our family. We actually bring this. They camp in a Coleman pop-up tent. We sleep like this. So yes. So this medieval model for glamping is one that absolutely adopts very well to modern glamping lifestyles, 100%. Do we have any liquid that I could consume that isn't fermented wine berry juice? Yay. Oh, but you should show them the barrel, the wine barrel.
Here you go.
Yeah. So we have a lot of, obviously, we don't have access to medieval sutlers for all of the supplies that we could need. So for instance, when we buy wine, it comes in glass bottles, or it comes in a box, and in that box there is a bag. Did you step on this stick? Put it off to the side. Yeah. Okay. So sometimes, as you may know, you can buy wine in boxes, and it comes in a plastic bladder. And my condottiero purchased this lovely little wooden barrel, and it just so happens that the plastic bladder of wine from boxed wine fits in here perfectly. Show them. See, isn't that cool? I don't know how did you get the bladder in there? It actually comes out. Oh, it twists. Yeah. So I thought this was a really clever way of taking advantage of your wine in a box. See. Next step would be somehow designing a medieval spigot we can somehow attach into that bladder.
Yeah. I don't think that'll ever work.
Probably not. Apologies for the plastic bottle. We're not, as you can tell, we're not set up yet. We haven't gone medieval yet. We're going medieval. We're in the process. Okay. Oh, my broom. This is a broom that we bought from a broom maker in Oregon. So it's actually a handmade broom. And so I really love this broom so much. It's just such a thing of beauty. You know, the details of the corn, darn it. What's corn straw? No, there's what's the word in English for the corn that they use to make the broom from?
Rachel, missed a message.
I missed a message. My condottiere last year, when he packed everything up the day after I had left, he left me little messages in every box. He didn't think he'd be coming back, but he is, so. Okay, so yeah, having a broom is a very important thing to have for your medieval glamping or even modern glamping experience, because nature wants in. Nature wants to join with you. And so having a broom to be able to just, you know, brush out the leaves and the sort of dirt and sticks that come in here, it's a good thing to have.
Your breakdown bench, have you seen the tin with the...
No, I have not. No. So we have a bunch of benches, and they different kinds of benches, and they break down, right? And some of them break down in a medieval way, and some of them don't. So, you know, some of these are older pieces, and I just haven't replaced them yet with more authentic pieces. But once they are put together, they look perfectly fine. So, you know, when you're doing your own medieval glamping setup, you get to decide your level of authenticity, right? How do you want it to feel like someone from the 15th century could walk in, look in every nook and cranny and feel at home? Or do you want it to look fine from the outside? Do you want it to look fine from 5 feet, 10 feet, 15 feet, right? Everyone in my world gets to choose their level of authenticity. And I know that's not necessarily a popular view amongst all of my fellow medieval reenactors, but there it is. Okay, well, we have other benches, though, we can set up that don't have the hardware, right? Handsome? Yeah?
I should have been like right here with...
So medieval witches didn't ride brooms, not according to the legend. That's a later thing that springs up, basically.
I bet you it's in the big ass box.
Okay, so we've got different pieces here for benches. So remember I mentioned furniture, very mobile in the Middle Ages, right? So that things can be broken down. So these are all bench pieces. And they're a bit of a trick, though, because if you lift them up by the top, they will just simply come off. And especially for those of you looking to maybe reduce the plastic in your life, you know, these kinds of breakdown benches might be something you might want to consider adding to your space. And of course, not everybody can work in wood or has the facilities, equipment, skills to work in wood. But what I've discovered is that many artisans, many craftsmen are perfectly fine with skills trading. So if you have a skill, then you can use your skill, create something, and trade it with the person who then can do woodworking. Or maybe sweat equity. Maybe you can clean their home for them or service their car or something, right? There are ways to acquire these pieces without needing lots of money. there's bartering, there's all manner of ways. So this isn't just something that's only accessible to the wealthy. I have spent most of my life living on a very shoestring budget. And most of these pieces I've acquired over years and years, one piece at a time, not all at once. I've been building this medieval glamping set, in some cases literally in the case of the pavilion, which I made myself, for 30 years. So this doesn't happen overnight. Okay, I don't know. So this was a bench made by the very kind father of my damsel Eleanor, and you know, there were a lot of lessons learned. Well, it does fit, so that's good. Yeah, it fits. Yay! Yay! They don't all fit perfectly. And remember, as I said, wood, especially if it's not treated and finished really, really heavily, it's going to flex. When it's dry, it's going to shrink. When it's moist, it's going to swell. So sometimes it might swell too much to actually be able to put it together. Or frequently, by the end of this event, it is swelled so much that we can't get it apart.
You have to pick this
Yeah,
one
so
up
this one you have to
specifically.
pick up by the legs. Do not pick up a bench like this from the top. There is literally nothing but gravity holding it together, right? So keep that in mind. But that can also be fun if you have a party and you have people who have been imbibing and you're sober. Like there's ways to make this work for you. I don't know if you want to take a look maybe and see.
Do what?
Can you pass me the big bottle, Ryan? It looks like there's a crack in it.
There is. Because last year when it had swollen a little bit.
Oh, this is for my table. This is for the trestle table. One of the oh, it broke.
Oh my.
I think it was broken last year.
Did we still use it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, sure.
Because I go to these.
Yes. So this is a table. It is technically not a trestle table because trestles are actually a specific piece of furniture, but it's got nice ends on it, cut in a 15th century style, and it just all slots together. Wait, this is the top one. Do you see another piece like this somewhere? Probably. We have enough wood to build a house, honestly, if I'm being perfectly blunt. There's enough wood here to build a house.
Is there a front and a back?
Not really. At least I don't think there is. No, we needed to, but we also don't know where the
Oh, look, caterpillar. Cute one.
where? Did I step on it?
Right there.
Oh, what a cutie.
Okay.
We need the pegs, yeah, which are in one of the boxes, I think.
Don't move. Go get a drink.
Okay, so let's see the other two benches. There's the slats. I honestly thought we had organized all of this wood, but apparently that didn't actually happen. I just dreamt that it happened. More bench pieces. You came back.
Get rid of the cute little guy.
No, I didn't. Where is he?
I don't know. He was right here.
I didn't do anything with him. There we go. Okay, yeah. So we use pegs to hold it in place, like so. And now there's a crossbeam. Great, and then there's a top. And the top just slats right down. And again, this is one of those pieces of furniture by which you do not lift by the top, you lift by the legs. Mm-hmm. And this one we put two little dowels in place so that it seats in on each of the sets of legs. Yeah. Are both of them gone? I think they.
This one.
This one. Okay.
Okay.
Wait, it's not actually seated over here. It may have warped, flexed up. So if you ever have wood pieces that you're trying to put together like this, rubber mallets are your friend. Do not use a hammer to hammer it together. Yeah, you do not use a hammer with a metal head. Do not use a mallet with a metal head. A rubber mallet is the way to go. And a rubber mallet will also be a better choice than your fist. Just saying.
Yeah, this side's better.
Yeah, no, it's the board is warped.
Oh. All right, let's put it over there.
Yep. And it's light, it's not heavy, it's just that it's awkward to carry by yourself if you have to lift it from the legs. Yep. And that will, of course, a tablecloth will be put over top of it, of which we have many. Right. Right. Benches. Where?
Right here.
Maybe we should take him out.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, little guy. We have a little friend, whoa. What is wrong with that leaf? Hey, little guy. Okay. No, we have a little caterpillar.
Yeah, wait till there you go.
Ooh, no. We have a little cutie. Little cutie. So adorable. Oh, now he's on me. Okay, little guy. Well, being in our tent is really not the place. Here you go, over on the tree. Come on, onto the tree. He does not want to get on this tree. Okay, there we go. Onto the tree, yes. Now, that may be the tree's doom, but it's better than him getting smushed in my pavilion. I can't stand to hurt living things. It breaks my heart. Okay, so got the top there. Yeah, I absolutely cannot. I can't stand. We had a sad encounter with a bumblebee this morning. We were flipping the carpets, which were out in the sunny meadow behind the pavilion, and we flipped it, and there was a bumblebee on the underside. And I was worried that we'd hurt the bumblebee, but I don't think we did, because he was pulsating and he looked a little traumatized. And I went back to check on him about half an hour later, and he had died. But I think he maybe was kind of at the end of his lifespan anyway. But it made me very sad. I love bumblebees. I didn't want to see him die. Okay, we found the pegs, right? So what we're about to put together now is a swing, what we modernly call a swing back bench. And it is called that because it is a bi-directional bench. It actually has a backrest that can swing from one side to the other, so that you can either sit on this side, rest against the backrest, flip the backrest and sit on the other side. And these are very often depicted at feast tables, and they're very often depicted at fireplaces. So they were very long often. And so you would have it in front of the fireplace. And so the ladies could sit on one side and sew, and then if it got too warm, they could swing the back and sit on the other side and face away from the fire. This one is actually modeled on the size of an extant 15th century swingback bench that is in the Museum für Angewandte Kunst, the Applied Arts Museum in Berlin. So we actually saw that when I went there in 2005, and this beautiful swingback bench was on display. And so my then husband, Greg, actually made a version of this that broke down so that we could then take it with us to events like this. And we're still using it 21 years later. And the nice thing about these swingback benches is that they have storage inside of them. So there's a chest inside the bench. So it's a very multifunctional piece of furniture. It's aesthetically pleasing, it's practical, because you can sit in several different directions and you can use it for storage. And this one was designed to come apart so that it doesn't have pegs or anything that are visible. We actually have hinges that are built onto the inside. and we use pins to put the hinges together. So no, that is, as far as I can tell, not a medieval method of making portable furniture. They did have hinges. Hinges are a medieval thing, just not necessarily this style of hinge and not used in this way. Did you do something wrong? Why?
Because this is up and that one's not.
What do you mean by up? Wait. Is it the...
Here, can you take the pin out? Let's try switching the legs.
That's weird.
Take the pin.
Yeah. I didn't think that this one had a
I didn't think it did either.
side. Okay, let's see.
Come on.
Oh, maybe it needs to sit one higher, but that doesn't make any sense. Greg wouldn't have designed it that way.
Yeah. Maybe I just never noticed before.
Yeah, maybe I never noticed before.
There's no way the wood shrunk like that.
No,
That's
that's...
impossible. Now, the piece did split at one time,
It did.
but he cleverly made it to where you know
Yeah, it just...
which pieces go where. Can you have any pins?
No. Where are they? Oh. So we actually made this using, this wood is not, these aren't solid pieces. These have been laminated together from slats. So, it has, eventually the joinery did actually give way, but happily it doesn't really make a difference on this one. Because of the way it pins together, it still works.
If I can get it to go.
Yeah, I think probably this is the most time this piece is spent in unclimate controlled territory. This bench has lived a soft life. It spent most of its life in climate control, and now it's been living the last year in storage. It's not very happy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the front panel. Okay.
Side. The other side's ready to be pinned.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Was.
Yep. Here we go. Remember, a little violence goes a long way when you're putting furniture together. For those of you who've made IKEA pieces, maybe you know what whereof I speak. Okay. There we go. Okay.
No. Don't do it. Go back.
Pull back. Pull back. Yeah, as I said, this was designed to be stored in a less wild place than a corrugated metal storage unit in Western Pennsylvania.
Oh, it's caught on the pin.
That's one way to... Okay, should we show them the inside?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah.
So as you can see, we put a board in the bottom like that, and now you've got a nice chest. And so these are also sometimes called chest settles. Settle is the word for this kind of bench. Like a bench that's more than just a bench, that's like a whole piece of furniture bench. So the term that you see often is chest settle. And now we attach the swing back part. So now the swing back, the thing that allows it to swing. You have to do it like this. This one's stripped. Is yours stripped?
No.
Okay. And there we have it. Swing back settle.
Yeah, I keep saying I'm gonna fix that.
Yeah, unfortunately the screw on this one is stripped, but I just thought I'd show you the detail, how this has been carved into a rose shape. Isn't that really nice? Yeah, what are we gonna do about that? Put some wood glue in it?
Gonna fill it full of wood putty. And
Wood
then
putty, yeah. That's really funny, just how much it's expanded by. See, and then you have a nice two-person settle and storage on the inside. And you don't have to swing it around to change direction. All you have to do is swing the swing back, like so. Et voila.
Et voila.
And these, if you look at these in the depictions of inner furnishings from the Middle Ages, you will often see them long enough to fit 4 or 5 ladies at a time. So, very medieval people were practical. If you needed a smaller one for 2 people or for a group of people to sit companionably and embroider, then that was an option as well.
You'll need to read the comments. I can't find my glasses.
Oh, it's okay. Okay, checking. So, medieval camping furniture was the first IKEA furniture. Putting it together always tests a relationship. So much. Except that medieval furniture doesn't come with a diagram to frustrate you.
Move it over to there for now. We usually put this at the foot of the bed.
Yep. Okay, other furniture we can put together. Oh, the trestles? No.
Just the foldable furniture.
Yeah, foldable furniture. The original folding chairs. I love these things so much. And wait, pull it back. So one of the great things about the X chair is that when you are a lady such as I and you're wearing full skirts and several layers of dresses, then there's plenty of room for your skirts to be here and not be tucked up in your lap uncomfortably, right? And you'll notice there's no back. So a lot of medieval chairs don't have backs. I think people just had better posture and hear me out, they engage their core on a more regular basis than we do modernly. Okay, trestles. Let's talk about trestles. Okay, so the trestle table, you may have heard of the term trestle table. This is a trestle.
This is the wrong one. Oh wait, I just had it backwards.
Yeah. So these are trestles. And this is basically, some of you might look at this and say, sawhorse. Well, these are expensive and hand carved. Don't me catch you sawing anything on these. But certainly in terms of shape, you're not necessarily wrong. You can do that.
Sawhorses.
These are sawhorses. Actually, these are sawburros, according to their branding. So if you can't get medieval trestles, like actual replica medieval trestles like this, right? And see, look at that trefoil. Isn't that beautiful? This is by Dupuis Creations. They're an American medieval furniture maker. They, do all of their stuff by hand. They use power tools for cutting and whatnot, but it's not laser cut and it's not, done on a conveyor belt line, right? If you can't afford actual medieval trestles like this, then you can get sawhorses. And when I lived in Germany, from Obi, we would often go to the Obi, and they have sawhorses that are actually closer to this in size. And because they're under a tablecloth, because you cover your table, you cover your board in tablecloths, you don't eat off of a bare wooden board. What barbarian does that in the Middle Ages? So, having these nice pretty trestles doesn't necessarily matter as much because you're just going to cover your table in a beautiful tablecloth, ideally from Perugia, if you are of the more means typed. Right. So there's some theories about how these trestles are best used. I personally think that for maximum stability, it's better to alternate them this way. But if you look at medieval depictions where you can actually see the trestles, then nearly always you see both trestles pointing forward. So,
Possibly for looks, though.
yeah, that's possible. It could be, but it's also practical if you have people sitting, right? Then it's the way people generally sat at medieval tables, especially at medieval feasts. It was usually people on one side. There are times where you see feasts with people on both sides, but if you read the descriptions of feasts, very often it's diners on one side and sort of a U around the room. There's no one sitting on the inside of the table so that the servers can reach them conveniently. In which case, having your trestles all pointing in the same direction makes sense, because then there's not as much room lost for diners on this one side. Right. And then, okay, so then you're thinking, okay, there's the legs of the table. Where's the tabletop? Well, that's literally a board. And this is where expressions like sideboard come from, because the board, it was a board. Your medieval tables weren't solid pieces of furniture. They consisted of trestles and boards that went on top. And there are some feasts where we know they actually carried boards out already laden with food, and they just laid them on the trestles. Right, so you get a board, somewhat like this. And there, et voila, you have a table. This one is not finished. In fact, I think we bought this as an emergency last year, right? To go with.
No, I brought it. It was a bed. We needed another table.
This was a bunk bed bottom. Oh right, yeah, we needed an emergency table, so we brought this piece of wood last year.
But we're not going to leave that in there.
We're not going to leave that in there for now. Yeah, so you know, that's where the word sideboard comes from. Sideboards now are of, you know, a buffet. They're a solid piece of very, usually, hopefully well-made furniture. But the sideboard in the Middle Ages was also very often trestle table like this, and it was the board off to the side of the hall from which food was staged for service. So they would actually transfer the food from the kitchen to the sideboard and then stage it there, and then the servers would proceed to carry it from thence to the tables. And that was called the sideboard because it was a board on the side of the hall.
I think that'll work here. Yeah. Okay, it's
empty. Yeah. Susan says, what barbarian eats off of an uncovered table in the Middle Ages? A barbarian. Oh, look, another message. My heart's been true. Even he doesn't remember all the messages he left.
It was a year ago.
Okay, so what we're now going to show you are shelving units. These are shelving units that are also designed to break down. And they are not necessarily modeled off of a medieval model at all. This is one of those accommodations that we have made to the way in which we live, you know, in this encampment for 2 weeks. We don't know actually very much about the details of medieval campaign life in terms of storage. We don't know if they had shelving units like this that they could set up on which to store things. We don't know if they just stored everything in wooden chests and pulled it out as necessary. If you have a whole fleet of servants, then you can do that. Then you can just keep everything in chests, and anytime something is needed, you send the servant to go and get it. I do not have a fleet of servants at my beck and call, sadly. If you'd like to volunteer, then let me know. And so you can now purchase shelving units from the same furniture company, Dupuis Creations, that at least look look like medieval furniture in every way. So again, this could be a medieval looking solution to what is a modern problem, you know, how to store all the things you need to get through your 2 weeks, you know, or it could actually reflect possibly an actual medieval practice. But there isn't much in the way of shelving units like this that none have, that I know of, have survived from medieval Europe. What they used in medieval homes for storage, they actually had wall cupboards, believe it or not. In Italy, Italian palazzi had wall cupboards. They had chests, lots of wooden chests. Once you start reading through death inventories of households, they talk about a wooden chest in this room contained blah, 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 blah. Another wooden chest contained this. Another wooden chest contained that. So yeah, we don't know if this is in fact a medieval solution. Which level? How many? Bottom.
Because those lock in higher. Nope.
Right, okay. So we don't know if this is, you know, a medieval storage solution or a medievaloid storage solution.
The other side.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize it had come up.
Flip it all the way over. There you go. Now push it.
Yeah, we should have taken these back and finished them.
Yep.
Unfortunately, this wood was not stained or treated in any way, so it's probably We might have to wet it and reform it. Okay, so these have these wedges here that actually hold the shelving in place. Again, might not be a medieval storage solution at all, but it looks good. It looks right. Oh my God, I see what you mean.
Yeah, that one needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, hopefully Dupuis Creations is here and can do that for us.
I'm sure they've got extras of that.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it'll serve for the moment.
You want to check the questions or comments?
No, because I can't find my glasses. I can't read anything right now. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Images on those, and I think it'll sit right here.
Yeah, that's kind of where we sat it last year, a little more that way, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean as far as.
Oh, that will actually stand?
Yeah.
Right, so tip about glamping in any era, but especially medievally on uneven surfaces, you're going to want wedges of wood so that you can level things, shim things as needed based on the unevenness of the ground. Because even if we weren't on a slight slope, there's still wells and divots. This is a natural territory. So you'll want to keep things like wooden shims on hand specifically to level objects as needed. Yeah, the question was, did we bring more than one pavilion? Of course we did, Susan. So this is our living pavilion this year. We have a smaller round that will be our storage pavilion, and then we've got a larger round that is going to be the dining hall, basically our dining pavilion, our great hall for our encampment. This one I think is 16 feet at the bottom. The larger one is 18 feet at the bottom. So it's basically 2 feet larger all the way around. So yeah, we'll be doing a live stream on setting that up tomorrow. So if you want to learn how to set up one of these pavilions or just watch us fight our way through it, then stay tuned for tomorrow, probably once again in the morning, because we'll want to take advantage of, trying to think when the sun leaves that spot. Maybe not early morning, it'll be later morning because we want the sun to hit the trees so that spot ends up in shade. But yeah, probably maybe around 11 a.m. tomorrow. That would be 11 a.m. East Coast time in the United States. Okay, I think is that all the furniture we have to set up?
We can carry the bed in.
Right. Yes, okay. We're going to go grab the bed. This is a two-person job. I'm going to be able to still talk to you. I'll just be off camera for a few minutes. Okay. Shall we? What stinks?
The mothballs.
Oh. Did you use naphthalene mothballs?
I use mothballs.
That's very toxic to us too. We might want to not use the springbok hides then this year. Don't put it against the wall.
Put your end down. Okay. Yeah. Swing your end closer to that.
Okay, so yeah, we definitely don't want that. Okay, so a couple of tips about furniture in a canvas pavilion. Actually, this applies for nylon as well. Cotton canvas is naturally waterproof on its own. You don't have to treat it at all, FYI, because the first time it gets wet, if you pre-wet it before your first event, the fibers swell and they stay swollen. So they will repel water, absolutely, except when you have something pressing into the cotton canvas, into your canvas. If there is something touching it, like there is in a couple of spots right now, and it rains, then the water will leach through, right? So key is to make sure there's nothing actually touching your walls and pressing into them if it rains, which means that if you are actually making a rope bed for your own tent or pavilion, you want to make it at a height that it will not encounter the sides of your pavilion. Otherwise, you will end up with wet spots where the furniture actually comes in contact. And depending on how hard the rain is, that might actually result in considerable moisture in your pavilion. All right, so pro tip from many years of lessons learned in that regard. Okay.
So do you want me to take the spring box? I mean, you don't need them technically.
Yeah, let's let them air out, because I can smell that and it's giving me a headache. So just so you know, modern mothballs generally are made from naphthalene, and that is toxic to humans also. So you really should find a different solution than conventional mothballs. Not everyone knows that though. So I definitely recommend moth repellents like lavender and whatnot. No, they don't. They smell like naphthalene. But UV light kills moths, wool moths. UV light will absolutely kill them if you give like consistent multiple days of direct sunlight, especially summer sunlight, will kill the moths themselves, it will kill the larvae, and it will cook the eggs. Freezing also minus 18 centigrade for 2 weeks minimum will also kill the eggs of wool moths and the grubs and the living ones. So if you find yourself with an unfortunate infestation of what we call wool moths, but actually they will eat anything. They will start with wool. Then if wool runs out, then they'll move on to silk because they do prefer animal proteins and other animal proteins. And then if they run out of animal proteins, then they will absolutely move on to your cellulose, your plant fibers. So keep that in mind. If you do end up with a moth infestation of, call them fiber moths, maybe to be more accurate, then UV treatment, extreme heat treatment, and/or minus 18 for a minimum of 2 weeks will kill all stages of their life cycle. Yeah, I've had moth infestations a couple of times, and there is little that is more anxiety inducing for a fashion historian with a large store of very expensive fabrics than a wool moth infestation. Yep, for certain. Oh, where did I get the springbok hides? Yes, we'll show you outside in a moment, Haas. Yeah, where did I procure the springbok hides? So the springbok hides we procured Cape Town. I went there in 2009 to an event of the Society for Creative Anachronism, back when I was Queen of the Kingdom of Drachenwald, if you're familiar with that organization. And the day we were going to fly out, we stopped at a hide shop, for lack of a better word. But these were hides that are the result of animals that have been culled, because there are vast herds of a variety of, especially ruminants, in South Africa that no longer really have natural predators, or at least not in large enough numbers. And so they frequently have to cull the herds. And so they were selling springbok hides for about $5 a piece, the equivalent of $5 US a piece. And this was 3 hours before our flight. As you may or may not be aware, if you buy furs in a foreign country, you need customs paperwork to prove that they were ethically sourced and not the result of poaching, that they've been treated in an appropriate way, et cetera, et cetera. And so this poor shop clerk was working furiously to get the customs paperwork done, because she knew if she didn't, there would be no sale. And I think we bought 14 of them. So that's where we got the springbok hides. And there's definitely some holes in them that indicate that their demise was perhaps not peaceful. Yeah. Okay, so let's show you the outside for now.
Do you know the wool ticking is?
The wool. Oh, you mean the mattress ticking?
Yeah.
It's in. Oh, I took it home to wash it, so it's in one of the light blue folding. The older, yeah, one of the light blue folding lid bins. Yeah. Okay, so we're now going to demonstrate the making of, and we're gonna,
Live right now. So if you want to be on live, come and say.
Hey ladies, welcome. So we're now going to make a bed. We're going to show you how to make a medieval bed with all of its layers. So the first thing we're going to do is actually stuff our straw ticking. So our linen ticking. So this is linen canvas. This is linen canvas. It is currently inside out. We are going to be stuffing it with straw, and then we will whip stitch the ends shut, and then we will layer on top of that a wool mattress, what's basically a wool duvet actually, but would have been called a wool mattress in the Middle Ages. And then on top of that will go a feather mattress. And this multi-layer mattress system is fantastic because you get the benefits of all of those different fiber types, right? But then you also have the different breathability of the straw and the linen, of the wool and the cotton that is around it, and then the feather mattress with the down and the regular non-down feathers on the bottom layer. So you get different kinds of breathability, you get different levels of squish and comfort. The straw is very firm. The wool is very antimicrobial and breathes really well. And then, of course, the feather mattress is just absolutely divine. And we do know that this is a documented medieval bed system because we have, for instance, the death inventory of Lorenzo de' Medici's palazzo from 1492, 1494. And there are so many mattresses that are included in this death inventory. There are so many beds in his palazzo in the time. And actually, we probably want to stuff this outside.
Yeah.
There are so many mattresses in the palazzo of the time, but the inventory goes through the palazzo chamber by chamber and tells you whose chamber it is. And so by doing so, you can tell what kinds of bedding different levels of society have, because they actually talk about this is Mona Lisa's room, and Mona Lisa was Lorenzo's old wet nurse, but because the Medici treated their people very well, even though they no longer needed a wet nurse, she was basically given a pension and allowed to reside in the palazzo for the rest of her life. And they talk about the kind of bedding that she had and the kind of furniture. And then there's Clarice Orsini, Lorenzo's mother's bedchamber, and the kind of bed she had and the kind of bed he had. And so we can actually get from these death inventories not just the way that the wealthy lived, but the way that everyone in the palazzo lived at the time of his death, from the lowest servant on up. If they lived and had a room in the palazzo, any space, then we know the items that they actually owned. So yeah, this is how we can actually get a picture, a view into the entire cross section of medieval society. Death inventories are a wonderful, wonderful tool for that. So what we're going to do is we're not going to stuff the mattress in the bed, in the pavilion, because we would like our pavilion to not be covered in straw. So we're going to stuff the mattress just in front of the pavilion, and then we will transfer it to here.
Over there. Okay, grab the ticking and I will follow you.
Where are we going?
Over there, where the hay bale
Oh,
is.
right. We're going to go to the shady spot.
Tried to put it near a tree.
Yeah. Okay, So what I do is I turn it up like this. Sort of like, do any of you do cake decorating? This is how you stuff your pastry bag, right? Sort of, you cuff it down. Yes, good. You cuff it down so that you create kind of a bag at the bottom here. And then we'll stuff it, and as we stuff it more and more, we'll kind of unroll the sides. Do I need gloves? No, not for this part. Pop the ropes.
I'm gonna be.
You pop the ropes? Okay. Okay, so some people I know make the mistake of just taking a flake of straw. For those who don't know, for those who didn't grow up working in horse stables, bales of straw and bales of hay come in what are called flakes. Like they're pre-separated sections. You don't just pop the flake in the bag. If you just plop this unfluffed flake into the sack, it's going to be very dense. So you actually have to fluff it. And yes, this is going to create dust. If dust is a problem for you, then you definitely want to make certain that you wear a dust mask. In fact, I should probably do that, but whatever. All right, so you just fluff, 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 fluff. And this is why you don't want to do this inside your pavilion, right?
Messy.
And so as you go along, you raise the sides to increasingly capture the. You might be blocking the view with the straw right there. I don't know. So you want to make certain that there are no chunks that are left bound up, right?
And it's wet.
So you take it by the side like
One
this.
hay bale.
Oh no, God, it's not even half. Like maybe half a half a bale of straw is really plenty for about a double size mattress. For those just joining, welcome to Setting Up a Medieval Encampment. We are actually in the process of literally making a medieval straw mattress.
These things have a smell.
They're always this size.
Huh?
Yeah, standard.
Why'd I get 4 of them?
Because Kate and Benaiah.
Right. Oh. Tastes so good.
Yeah.
It smells good.
Tastes green.
I do like the smell.
Smell is nice, yeah.
It does not want to come apart.
It does not. Also, it's actually damp. Okay. So we're gonna have to let this dry. I can smell it. Was this outside?
No, it was under a tarp.
Yeah, it's a little damp. Okay, let's put it in the sun. So the straw, so I'm a horse girl. I grew up working in stables, as I just mentioned. So I have a visceral feeling and understanding for straw. This straw needs to dry. So I just inhaled a bunch. Excuse me. Yeah, put that in the sun. If you're stuffing your straw mattress and you can feel moisture in your straw, put it in the sun and let it dry, the straw. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put it in the sun and we're gonna give it the good old UV treatment. And medieval people absolutely understood about the power of the sunlight. They didn't know about UV, they didn't really know about microbes as such, but they understood that things exposed to sunlight ended up being salubrious. You didn't get infections, you didn't get sick, and you didn't die if things were subjected to protracted periods of UV light, of sunlight. So we are putting it in the sunlight and we're going to let it dry. That kind of means that we need to stop with the bed making while that
There's another piece of furniture.
treats. So we've got one more piece of furniture to put together. So let's do that while the straw dries out. And it's not that it's soaking wet, but I could feel moisture. And you don't want that to be contained in it when you seal it up and it gets dark and then mold and mildew will grow. So keep that in mind when you're making your medieval straw mattress. So we have another set of shelving that is, again, breakdownable. There's gotta be a better word in English than that.
Collapsible.
Collapsible, yes, that is a good word, collapsible. Forgive me, my vocabulary is normally much richer and more varied, but I've been fighting major jet lag these last couple of days.
2 more of these, 4 more of these, don't they?
Yes, there should be 10 total, actually. Right, so we have here the uprights for our shelves, and then we have the slats that go on the sides to hold it together, and then there are pins. So sorry, everyone. Let me just check the comments or questions. Yeah, damp straw is a recipe for mold. Yeah, I'm not sneezing due to allergies. I'm sneezing because I literally physically inhaled chunks of straw. I will tell you that no matter whether you're allergic or not, if you inhale pieces of anything into your respiratory tract, you will sneeze. We haven't evolved to inhale solid particles and just keep on going. That's not how humans work. Yeah, if I were allergic to straw, I never could have become a horse girl. It would have been impossible. From the age of 5 to the age of 18, I basically lived at a horse barn when I wasn't at school. So, yeah. Could not have happened if I'd actually had allergies of any kind.
Well, and we also need a walking drive.
Yeah, Nevis, right, exactly, water and air. and if the water has become solid and you inhale it, your body's going to be real unhappy. Okay, let's see. Where are the other? We're apparently missing a couple of the slats. And we might only, you know what, beloved, we might only have 4 of the slats. I think we only have 4, actually. I think this might be all we have. This was we actually got this on for a song from a merchant who was just getting rid of it. So we needed shelving.
Maybe it's adjustable height shelving.
Again, it is a little bit, yeah. So, but we do need the pegs.
Oh, right.
Yep. So again, we don't know. I have no evidence of medieval encampments utilizing shelving. They had shelving in medieval homes for certain. I have no direct evidence, I haven't found any myself at any rate, of shelving units being utilized in a medieval encampment. If you do, please let me know because I'd be fascinated to find that evidence. However, 30 years of experimenting in medieval camping and glamping has taught me that having shelving makes your life a lot happier if you're doing it for any length of time. Right? If you're just going to be overnighting in a place, you don't need shelving. But if you're in a place for 2 weeks like we are, you want shelving. Okay.
Yeah, you might as well put the top on.
Yep. Top on, and then you might want to get some oil and oil this, actually.
I think we need to oil all the wood.
Yeah, we need to oil all the wood. This came out.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter if it comes out.
Not right. Yeah.
Little pegs. And we do see depictions of furniture that is absolutely held together with this kind of joint, like this tongue and, what is this called? With the pegs. There's a word for this kind of joint.
Do you know? Drop one? Did you drop one?
Did I drop one? Premium air.
Oh, I left one in the bag.
Oh, did you? Okay.
That must be all we have.
Yep. I think it's adjustable height shelving. This is what happens when you only use this entire setup once a year. You relearn. It's almost like Christmas morning
Like,
once
ooh,
a
look
year.
at this thing.
When Christmas morning once a year. Yay! Look at the wonderful things that I have. Woohoo!
We've got another thing to set up as well.
Okay. So
But you need the shelf.
we need the shelves. So this
Oh, the shelves are right there.
This might look like a weaving tool or a textile arts tool of some kind, spinning perhaps, but it's not. Oof. See, did that go in? Yes. Okay, shelf. And then, so we use this one specifically in our storage pavilion. And what do we keep in our storage pavilion? We keep things like vinegar and olive oil because we have oil lamps, and olive oil was the lighting material of choice amongst the wealthy for oil lamps. And we also, vinegar, of course, we use in a wide array of operations, including washing dishes to help sanitize. Also good for getting out stains, right? And what other things do we keep? What other goods do we keep for our medieval life? I mean, obviously we have fresh fruit and whatnot that we keep stored. That doesn't need refrigeration necessarily. But olive oil, vinegar are two of the big ones that we keep in large quantities in camp.
My vast collection of feathers that I need.
Your vast collection of feathers, my goodness. Okay, so now we have a shelving unit ready to go into the storage tent. Okay, brilliant.
Then where do you want this?
Oh, the lavabo. Yeah, so let's talk about the lavabo. Oh, it's got candles in it. So this, my friends, is a lavabo. This is for hand washing, actually. And so you actually see these, especially in 14th and 15th century domestic scenes. In particular, the Flemish painters were very fond of including them in scenes of the Annunciation of the Virgin. And very often you'll see it there. They actually have sophisticated palaces in the Low Countries in the 15th century had built-in sinks with running water in them in their bedchambers, and so it actually has a sink with a drain in it, and above it you'll often see a lavabo suspended, and this would be used for washing your hands, right? Pour it, wash your hands, wash your face, that sort of thing. And this is actually a Victorian replica of a medieval lavabo that I managed to find on eBay. Again, love eBay. So yeah, this one is brass, so it's quite heavy, and it just lives here. And so let's put it, I guess, there for now. We haven't decided where we're going to put the lavabo station yet, but there would be a ewer under it. So a basin, sorry. There would be a basin under it for catching the water.
I need to hammer this in before I hang
Yep.
this heavy thing.
Okay, do we have any other pieces to set up other than the bed? And unfortunately, I want that straw to get a good UVing. So I think we might have to call it, we might have to put a pause there, put a pin in the live stream and come back when it's time to actually put the bed together.
Right? And we could put up the storage tent, but we have to move all that stuff.
No. We're not set up for that part of the thing. Okay, well, are there any, we should give them a, take it around and just show the outside of the pavilion. Haas wanted to see.
Okay.
Yeah. So while we give you a view of the outside of the pavilion, are there any
Big comment.
big comment?
I don't have a
I do. Big comment. Okay. A set of medieval sewing trestles are my next big. Oh, yes, for embroidery. Oh, yeah, Twitchy. A set of medieval sewing trestles are the next big purchase. But I'm figuring out the best way to interpret and present medieval nuns. I definitely need to make a service book and psalter. Oh, yeah. So that is true. Trestles. Trestles like this are actually used also for embroidery. So we have depictions, especially from the Italies, of women sitting and embroidering, and you have two of these trestles, and they're sitting at them, and they have their embroidery frame set on the trestles. So they're actually sitting here, basically. And the embroidery, I mean, they're actually sitting on a chair, right? The embroidery frame is just their framed thing. It's a big rectangle and it's adjustable. It just sits on top of this, and they actually do the embroidery that way. So it's a two-handed technique whereby you go down, you push the needle down with one hand and it comes up with the other. So you're not doing kind of up, you're not using one hand, you're actually using both hands to do the embroidery. So yeah, so these trestles could also be used for that. And in fact, I'm going to try to get a very large, there's a woodworker here who makes large medieval embroidery frames. And I'm going to try, I have a small one and I have a medium one, and I'm going to try to get a really large one so that I can use it on garments to embroider garment pieces. Yep. Another comment. She says those are the exact ones I want. Yep. Lady Oolong, do you like tea? I love oolong tea. Just as an aside, how's the weather this weekend? It's pleasant, a few hours longitude north, but I know how swampy it gets here. It's actually beautiful. It is. It's not swampy at all. There's definitely been swampier. I mean, there's moisture in the air, so if people are from, say, New Mexico, they would find it incredibly humid. But for me, coming from the East Coast where it gets swampy, this is just comfortable. It's very pleasant. Beautiful weather. We have puffy white clouds in the sky. It's quite lovely.
You could talk about.
Oh, tapestries. So this is one of our replica tapestries of the Hunt of the Unicorn. This is an antique. It is probably about 100 years old at this point, actually. And it is actual wool and silk. And you know, I got this on eBay. I think we paid $100 for it, and it's 6 feet by 4 feet. It's very nice.
And you can use it, you can hang tapestries like this to create rooms inside of your...
That's true. So in this pavilion, if you wanted to create spaces within the space, a pavilion within the pavilion, you could actually use tapestries like this to do so. Yep. Yep. Yeah, Twitchy, I love these things. These are great. This is the nice thing about medieval furniture in general, is that it's versatile. That because it comes apart in pieces, you can use those pieces either entirely as a suite of pieces or just use parts of them as needed. Yeah. Yeah, love these trestles. Love them so much. Dupuis Creations made these. They also made our potentially pseudo-medieval shelving. And that bench. The bench on which those pieces are sitting is also a Dupuis bench. Yep. Okay, well, are there any final? We're going to give you a look around the outside of the tent just so you can see what the outside looks like. Put the pole in.
Oh, that's gonna be a pain.
We can do it together.
Yeah.
It'll be less of a pain. So what we're going to do, because our mattress ticking has to cure in the sun, not the ticking but the straw, what we will do is we will come back for a live stream and show you how to actually make the bed, and then we'll also show you how to hang the silk bed canopy in our pavilion.
Multiple comments.
Multiple comments. Okay, well let's walk around the pavilion while we do so. Oh goodness, that's a spike. Lady Oolong loves tea. Oolong, so I have a large collection of oolong teas back at home. Oh, Haas wants to see the minivan. If you've been enjoying this live stream, everyone, then please remember to like and subscribe. So I made this pavilion 21 years ago. This was one of 2 pavilions that I made. And it was made from very detailed, wonderful instructions on the website greydragon.org. And the man who made that wonderful website unfortunately died in a jousting accident 8 years ago. Seriously. The spear dropped, and it was a sharp. It was not the joust. It was one of the exercises that they were doing. They were doing spear throwing from horseback, and it was a sharp spear, and it randomly dropped, butt down, spike up, and managed to pierce his spleen. He was dead before he even left the arena. Yeah, Master Terraphon of blessed memory, an amazing man. Anyway, I made this pavilion using the instructions from his wonderful website, which is still up. His lady wife has kept the website going in his memory, in his honor. And there's many instructions for amazing furnishings for your own medieval glamping setup, step by step, lots of tips and tricks. The man was... The rope bed is on there, the medieval chandeliers are in there, lots of furnishing, trestle tables, breakdown benches, collapsible benches, collapsible everything. How to paint your pavilion, really great instructions. So
we could put those up, I guess.
Yeah, could put what up?
If I can find them, the trim decoration.
The trim decoration. Oh yeah. So this is nowhere near done, right? On the inside, we have a lot left to do to glamp it up, right? We have tables to lay out with tablecloths. We have the bed to put together, then the bed to dress, then the bed hangings to go up. We have the tapestries to hang up, and we have a nice hanging border from the hand painted border from the inside that adds a lot of really beautiful color.
But she said something.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. And the next would be steak.
Yeah.
Steak. There's a steak that goes with each roast.
Twitchy says, my goal is to portray an abbess on the journey to her lawyer or for business. I think that's a good goal. I think that's a really great goal. Yeah, and the nice thing about this style of pavilion is that once you stake out the bottom, and then all you have to do is pop up the center pole like an umbrella and then put in the spokes. So it's a really simple pavilion to set up without the fuss and muss of perimeter poles, which is what's about to happen behind us, actually, is a square pavilion. I hate square pavilions with a passion. Hate them so much.
My hands and
Yeah.
arms.
Yeah. Okay. So everyone, we're going to put a pin in it for now. So we're going to end the stream for now. When the bed is ready, when the mattress ticking is ready, we will then do another live stream and we'll show you how to make a bed and how to head a replica medieval silk canopy with bed hangings. Any final questions, everyone?
You'll have to do it. I can't read.
Yeah. Oh, the Discord. Yeah. So I'd like to thank all my patrons and my channel members and my subscribers on Facebook for supporting my medieval living history work. Twitchy, you're out there. All of my super fans like you, Huss and Susan, who just come out to all the live streams and leave comments and participate. And all of the rest of you who are just part of my community and coming along on my journey of medieval living history discovery. I appreciate you all. If you would like to support me and also benefit from extra perks like my Creative Contessa Discord server, like extra videos and footage and extra resources, then consider becoming a patron on Patreon, a channel member on YouTube, or a subscriber on Facebook.
There's a held comment. I don't know what it is.
I think it's not figuring out what to. That's okay. Thank you, Gabriel. Appreciate it. One hot mama. I'll take it. Okay, everyone. Until later on today or tomorrow, your time, depending on your time zone, Huss, may your adventures in history and in life be creative. Bye,
Yes,
everyone.
I'll be fighting.
Yes, we will be fighting on the field. Yes, so there will be combat coming up, everyone. There will be a medieval harness fighting deed, which means full plate harness with metal weapons. There'll be giant battles on the battlefield with a couple of thousand fighters. We'll live stream all of that, so fear not. You're in for a wild ride these next 2 weeks, everyone. It's going to be a wild ride. Bye, everyone.
We're still live.